everyone. Welcome to this masterclass. We are so excited that you're here with us. We have a very special guest teaching this class. Her name is Erin Tarr, all right? And so we're so excited that she's here. She's going to be teaching on finding your word to help you thrive in this season. We want to know who is watching with us. We want to know if you're watching live. If you are, go ahead and do hashtag live. If you're watching later in the day, maybe later in the week, would you do hashtag replay? And we love to see where you're watching from. Let us know what city, what country, what state. We love to see that. It's so encouraging to us. But a little bit about Erin is she is the founder and head coach at Be the Benchmark. She helps develop the confidence and the communication skills of tween girls so they can create lives of impact and the ability to make a change in their world. So welcome, Erin.
It is so good to be here. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for hosting today, Elizabeth.
Awesome. I don't want to waste any more time. We want to jump into this masterclass. I do want to let you know at the end, if time allows, we would love to do Q&A with Erin. So as she's going through the content, maybe something that pops in your head, just write down that question for later. And at the end, we'll try to go through as many questions as possible. But let's go ahead and jump into it. Erin, take it away.
All right. Well, I'm so glad that you're here today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day. The first thing that I want to say is you are going to need some pencil and paper or a marker or something because this is an interactive workshop. This is something where you're going to do some searching of yourself, so to speak. And so I definitely want to make sure that you are ready to jot down those notes and think about those things together. So we will work through this together. The first thing that I do is I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what finding your word has to do with. So I'm not quite going to share my screen yet. I'm trying to decide how soon to share my screen. I'm going to share my screen with you in just a minute. But first I just want to tell you, I do this normally. It's called Word of the Year normally, and it's all about setting an intention and a goal and looking at our year in a new way. And I've been doing this workshop for, 3 years now. And each year there's definitely new, hi Jane, hi Chris. So there's definitely new things that come up for me each year as I do this workshop, both personally as well as with others. And so, well, I'll tell you some stories as we go along, but I just want you to first take a moment. There's kind of 3 phases to this. And the first phase is centering ourselves and being ready for the workshop and ready for what God has to reveal to us during this time. The second phase is a brainstorming phase, which is my favorite. And the third phase is actually going to be a narrowing down and a decision-making time. And so as we enter into this first part of the workshop, I'm just going to ask you to relax for a minute. We've got a lot coming at us right now, guys. We need to take a breath, right? So let's just start by going ahead and closing our eyes. I mean, you don't have to close your eyes because I can't see you either way. But if you want to go ahead and close your eyes, just relax into your space for a moment. The first thing I want you to do is just notice your breath. You don't need to change it. You don't need to breathe deeply. You don't need to breathe quickly. You don't need to breathe on a certain rhythm. Just notice. Notice the gift of your breath coming in and out of your body. As you do this, I want you to take a moment to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Just be aware of where your fingers and your toes are at right now. And then those shoulders that these days seem to creep up, 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 up towards our ears, I want you to fold them back and down. Continue to notice your breath. Maybe move your neck from side to side. Do a scan over your body to think about where you're holding your stress. If you are not at all stressed right now, congratulations. You may be the only one. For the rest of us, where is it? For me, it's a lot of times in my jaw. So I have to wiggle my jaw and remember to not clench it up the whole time. Feel where your bottom is touching the feet. Become very aware of where your feet are touching the floor. Lord, we thank you for this breath. We thank you for this moment. Lord, right now we just want to metaphorically shut the door to the outside world and all that's going on. We want to leave behind the uncertainty and the stress in this moment. And we want to give the next hour to you as you open our hearts and our minds to this activity and to what you want to do in our lives through it. Thank you for this breath. Thank you for this moment. When you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. I hope that you feel a little more calm and centered and are ready for what we have next. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. All right. So this is a word. We're choosing a word right now, friends. And there is no better time in history to choose a word that will help us set our intention for who we want to be on the other side of COVID-19. Am I right? So and I apologize in advance if I say word of the year over and over again, because this is normally when you're going into a new year is when you're really looking at things with a fresh set of eyes and a new spirit and an excitement for the future. And I think we're in that same space in a different way. So what this word is going to give us is a lens. And that is exactly what it is. And so how do you want to view, and through what lens do we want to view everything that's happening right now and everything that we're going to experience in the future? And we're choosing a word, and it's individual to each person. We're choosing a word that is going to help us have the lens that we need to have to be our most productive selves. And so the first thing that we're going to do is a lot of brainstorming. I also do want to tell you what this is not. This process is not magical in any way. There is no, there's nothing about choosing. So for example, my daughter chose the word adventure a couple of years ago, and it was amazing. She went on many adventures, but it was not because she chose the word. It's because she chose to view her life as an adventure for that year. So it's kind of like when you buy a new car and all of a sudden you see that car everywhere. Does that ever happen to anyone? When it's that effect. There's a psychological term for it, which is escaping me at the moment. But the point is, when you choose a word and you're using that as your lens, you are going to start to see your world in that way. And that is the purpose. I will tell you quickly about my daughter choosing the word adventure because it's a fascinating story to me. She was in the second grade. No, she was in the first grade. It was the end of her first, it was the middle of her first grade year because it was for 2018. And she chose the word adventure, and I was like, oh my gosh, I must have done this workshop wrong, because adventure is not a word that I am capable of helping her achieve this year. We don't have any adventures planned. I don't even know what adventure looks like. And I was doubting myself, and I was doubting this process. And the funny thing about that is that I took too much of that on me. She was able, with a little bit of coaching, to see every day as an adventure. She chose new foods in the lunch line. She was brave to do things that she wouldn't normally have been brave to do. Simple things as far as asking a teacher if she could do something independently instead of with a group. You know, that was a brave choice, but it was adventurous for her, you know. So there were things like that. But she also auditioned for a musical that summer, Annie, and she was one of like 3 kids that made callbacks and did not make the show. But her sister did make the show. And it was quite an adventure, the entire callback process and all of these things. And she was very disappointed to not make the show. And I felt bad, because that was supposed to be her big adventure for the summer. And so, you know, she kept a good perspective, and we went on vacation to Colorado, and she tried lots of outdoor adventure things that she normally wouldn't have done or would have been too scared to do. But when we got back from Colorado, I got an email about a local production we live in a university town. We got a local production, and I signed her up to audition for a show that they were doing where they only needed 2 kids. It was a professional production. It was coming here, but they needed local kids. And she got the part, and that was great. She got to spend 6 weeks here with professional actors at our university town doing this show, and they were developing the show, so they were kind of workshopping it. An amazing experience, a great adventure, definitely. And she was so excited. She even got paid, which was way better than Annie, which was like community theater. And it was fantastic. But the real amazing part comes in when they invited her to go to New York and do the show at the Brooklyn Academy of Music with them for 2 weeks there. And so definitely 2018 turned out to be a huge year of an adventure for her. And those things may have happened even if she hadn't seen her word as adventure, but the fact that she and I were both looking at her life through that lens, it really came to fruition in a beautiful way. So it is not magical, but I do still sincerely believe that you will see the things that you're looking for when you choose your word. The other thing it's not permanent. You are not married to your word. One year I chose the word relentless, because I was going to be relentless towards my goals. I was going to build my business. I was going to do this. I was going to make this happen. And I was going to be relentless. And so one of the things I encourage people to do once they choose a word is to find books or music or podcasts or TED Talks that incorporate that word, so they can kind of really like immerse themselves in this lens. And so I found a book, and the name of the book was Relentless. And I'm like, yes, this is perfect. I chose this word. I'm going to read this book. It's going to be a great year. And it was all about professional athletes and how they were relentless towards their goals. And by relentless, I mean forsaking all others. Like they did nothing else but like worked on their free throw shots and sacrificed everything. And I was like, that is way too intense. I cannot be relentless. I have a family, and I have a job, and I have a husband, and I have volunteer things that I need to do. I cannot be relentless towards my business. And it was really stressing me out. I'm like, this is my word of the year, and it doesn't feel right. And so I kind of took a step back, and I prayed about it a little, and I heard God telling me, persist. You need to persist towards your goals, not be relentless towards your goals. So about 6 weeks into the year, I changed my word, and it had the same sense and the same meaning for me, and it produced the same results. But it was so good of me, and I've heard this from other participants of my workshop, to live with my word for a while and then decide, is this the right one? So if you're looking at this from here for an entire year, that might be something that you want to think about. If you're looking at this specifically for this period of quarantine and this period of social distancing and this period of whatever it is we're experiencing right now, then you might just live with it for that amount of time, whatever that ends up being. So not magical, not permanent, but it is extremely helpful. And so we're going to go ahead and get right into it. I hope you have some paper and some pens. Did I tell you that at the beginning? I meant to tell you that at the beginning. Yay. So we're going to get started. And the first thing that we're actually going to do, if you can see this on the screen, the first thing we do is I'm literally going to give you about 3 minutes to just look at these words. This is a plethora of possible words. This is not all the possible words you could choose, but this is where we start, by just making a list of 5 to 7 words that stick out at us. We're like, oh, that might be something that would be my word during this time. That might be something I need to think about. That might be a lens that I need to use. And so this is literally just a brainstorming time. So I am going to find my phone wherever I put it. I don't know where I put my phone, but I'm going to set, oh, right in front of me. I'm going to set a timer for you guys, and I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes to look that over. So I'm going to stop talking so you can concentrate on what you need to concentrate on. Okay, go ahead. All right, about 30 more seconds. If everybody's doing good, give me the thumbs up. All right, there goes my timer. So do you all have a few that you were able to find? All right, great. We're going to go on. I can always come back to this slide later if you need to look at it some more. But what we're going to do now is, this is, again, more brainstorming. So put that aside. And what we're going to think about right now is people that have qualities we admire. Now, this can be someone you know personally. This can be someone from history. This can be a contemporary figure. This can be someone from fiction. A lot of times when I'm talking with teen girls, I get a lot of Hermione Grangers from the Harry Potter series, things like that. But ultimately, each of those circles stands for a person. So we want to try to come up with 3 people that have qualities we admire. Now, this person does not need to be, and probably isn't, perfect. One of my people that I often choose is Brene Brown. I just think she's awesome. She's a researcher. She talks about vulnerability. She has her own podcast. She drops the F-bomb once in a while in very appropriate ways. I mean, I just think she's awesome. And that being said, I know because she's so vulnerable that she's horrible at estimating time. And if I was a close friend with her, that would drive me insane. Like I would be at my wit's end with her. I don't even know if I could be friends with her in a long-term capacity if that was if that really came down to it. But for the purposes of this, there are things about her and qualities that she possesses and things that she's done that I find very admirable. Other people that are common for me are Oprah, Rosa Parks, a lot of different people who are women. Most of mine are women, not all. Seth Godin is one of mine. He's a podcaster that I love that talks about really interesting things. So for you, whatever works. If you have people that are personal to you, but the idea is to write their name in a circle, so you can draw your own little circle, or you don't have to if you don't want to. Usually I have a cute little handout that I give people, but to write the name of 3 different people and then a list of qualities or a list of things you admire or a list of things that are interesting about them. And so I usually give people about 5 to 6 minutes to do this. You can, if you need more time, once we get there, let me know. But this is part of the brainstorming process. So just let your mind wander. Who are people that you admire? Who are people that you think are doing interesting things? And what is it that's interesting about them or that you do admire about them and think is cool? So you can probably get double points if you put Sean down, just saying. All right, I'm going to start my timer. So let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to, I don't know if I can see the comments. If I can find the comments somewhere, if you have any questions, or raise your hand and I'll see what I can do. Timer begun. I'll put on some soft music for you too. All right. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide. You can continue to work on this one if you want, but I want to kind of expand it for those of you who may have already finished that part. The second brainstorming part that we have has to do with verses or songs or poems or quotes. So we all have things that we say repeatedly or that we refer back to, or song lyrics that just won't leave our head, or ones that we really love, like when they sing that on Sunday morning, you're like, oh yes, that's what my heart needed to hear. And so that's what this part is for, is to write out 2 or 3 of those life verses that you have, or those verses that have been speaking to you recently, or those song lyrics. So this is a phone zone. So if you need your phone to look up the lyrics, you're like, oh, I know I like that song, but I can't quite remember all the lyrics. Feel free to look those up. This is an area to write down what are those things that are like really speaking to your soul right now and giving you that assuredness and that life, or that inspiration. So that's what this part is for. So I'll give us another 2 to 3 minutes on this part. Usually people are pretty quick with this one because they're like, oh yeah, it's running through my head all the time, so I know exactly what it is. But I'll give you a couple more minutes to write down this one. And you can keep working on the people if you need to while you're doing this. Either way, it's all under the same brainstorming umbrella. All right, the end of that song seems like a good stopping time. So we are coming to the end of our brainstorming time. And what I want you to do now is look over the word cloud that we did at the beginning, where you kind of chose some possible words, and then look over all of the words that you wrote down from the verses and the songs and the people, and see what kind of themes you see working on those. So a lot of times you might see the word leader many times, you might see the word grace or things like that. So, or anything that just sticks out to you in kind of that brainstorming activity that's like, okay, that could be a possible word as well. So from those 2 pages, as well as the words that you chose at the beginning, go ahead and just make a box around, 3 to 10. I usually say like 3 to 5, and people are like, I have 8. I'm like, okay, you do you. However, so this is where we're starting to kind of narrow down. Like, you're going to see some themes. You might feel some themes of, here are some things that I am feeling are possibilities for me. These are some things that I'm feeling are possibilities for me, and just write them in a box. And then we're going to go through next, we're going to start that process of narrowing down. And I'm going to have some questions for us to reflect on that are going to help you to really think about which of these words that you've already narrowed it down to might be the word. Does that make sense? All right, so I'm going to give you like 1 minute to kind of look back through your stuff and write down your possibilities. Thank you. I usually do this in a workshop format, so there's a lot of like back and forth. So I'm staring at you all. I'm thinking, I think Chris is getting it. Yes, Jane knows what she's doing. Okay. Oh. All right, we're going to go ahead and go to the questions. You can continue to think. I'm not going to shut down your thinking, but here we go. The first question is, do I want to increase a quality I already possess or focus on a new quality? So you can write down the question if you want, you don't have to, but the point is to think about it. And am I looking, so for me, for example, if I wanted to increase the quality I already possess, I might choose the word enthusiasm, because I'm pretty enthusiastic about everything, but maybe I want to be even more enthusiastic in life. So that might be a word I would think about if it's something I already possess. If I want to focus on a new quality, I might think of something like organized. Maybe I really want to try and organize. This is not a quality I currently possess very much of. Maybe more than the average person, but not enough for me, maybe. So that might be, you can see the difference, of focusing on something new or increasing something you already have. Neither is wrong, just something to consider. So that is question 1. Question 2, how might each day start based on the word that I choose? So we're choosing a word for this season, this very strange season that we find ourselves in. How might my day start if I chose the word rest? If I chose the word rest, what might the beginning of my day look like? Might it be a little slower? Might it be a little more cognizant of how I'm going to take the pace of my day? Versus if I chose the word, let's say I chose the word strengthen. If I chose the word strengthen, how might the beginning of my day look? I might be thinking, I need to lift some weights today. I need to go out and work out today. I need to read my Bible and strengthen myself that way. So you can see this lens, the word that you choose, and if you think about it first thing in the day, what is going to be that lens that you view your day with, and how might your days start and look different? There is no wrong word, but how you conduct yourself might look a little different each day based on the word that you choose. So how do you want your morning to look? Which word will push me out of my comfort zone and challenge me to show up as the best version of myself throughout this situation? This is one that only you can answer. You know what your default mode is, right? We all have a default mode that this is like, a lot of times I talk about like the Myers-Briggs or the Enneagram or any of those personality tests being our default mode. This is how we, under stress at our base level, respond to things, right? So if we want to be our best self and we want to get a little bit out of our comfort zone, which word might do that for us? So for me, definitely peace or peaceful might be something that would challenge me in every moment to be a little more peaceful. I'm a very like go, 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 get it done person. And that serves me well most of the time, but that's my comfort zone is go, 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 go. So maybe I need to dial it back. And maybe somebody else who really is more of a, peaceful person, maybe they're out of their comfort zone might be push or challenge or transform because they're used to kind of taking it, their default is a little more calm and peaceful. So I don't know, something to think about. No right or wrong answers again. All right. Next question. What does my current situation look like, both good and bad? And how might that change in the next 3 months? So I'm talking about wherever you are sheltered in place, assuming that you're sheltered in place. What are the good things about that? What are the bad things about that? How might that change in 3 months? Like, supposing that in 3 months, this is died down in some way, God willing, which word will inspire me to show up more fully for both of these situations? So this is a word for a season that we're thinking about. How are we going to conduct ourselves during this shelter in place, during this pandemic? How are we going to conduct ourselves online, on Facebook, with the people that are in our circle, whether it's in our house or wherever else, whether it's at work, whatever it is. But which word is going to inspire me to show up more fully both during this season as well as on the other side of this season? Thinking about what that's going to look like in both places. Something to consider. And this is the last question. If you're choosing this just for the next 3 to 4 months, depending on how long this takes place, this might not be the exact question you're going to look at. But when I'm doing this as word of the year, usually what I say is on December 31st of 2020, when I look back on my year, what one area of my life do I want to have seen the most growth in? And which word would help that come to fruition? So we have a lot of different areas of our life. We have personal relationships, we have professional relationships, we have business, we have fitness, we have health, we have spiritual growth. So there's all of these different areas. And what's great about word of the year is, and I've seen this happen again and again, is someone will choose a word thinking, this is my year of health and fitness. And they choose a word with that end, such as strength, such as go, such as flexibility, right? These are the things that they're working for with strength and health. And then they see it come to fruition in many other aspects of their life as well. So that's something that we want to continue to think about. So what area do I want to see the most growth in? And what word will help that come to fruition? But also remembering that you're probably going to see this word crop up in different areas of your life as well. So that makes it actually kind of fun and exciting, like a little treasure hunt. So ultimately, once we kind of look at all of those things, the plan is at that point to be able to choose our word. A couple of things that I usually encourage people to do. Number one is put it on a sticky note on your mirror first thing that you're going to see in the morning, because a word of the year or a word of the season is only as good as often as you remember it and as often as you bring it forth. So one year I had joy as my word, and so it was definitely like my goal was to return to joy more quickly, because I was not a joyful person, but I just needed to remind myself that when I was stressed or when I was upset or when I was having anxiety or depression, that I could return to joy. I could choose to do that. And so that was 1 year. And then you heard me say persist was another year. And that was a year where I didn't put it front and center. And so I persisted for the first like 3 to 4 months. And then over the summer, I kind of forgot to persist. And then I came back around to my word around August, September. So, and that happens to people. There are times and seasons that we go through, but definitely you want to keep it top of mind as much as possible. One thing that we do, I do with my girls is we make a vision board. So I put my word on my vision board, and then I put a verse actually. And for when I do this for Christian groups, I often encourage them, Google in your Bible app, like the words list or the word vision or reclaim, and then choose a verse that accompanies that can really be something that you can continue to claim throughout this process. And then I just went through magazines. I don't know if you can see it all, but I do a vision board by going through magazines and choosing pictures or words for my season and my time that will remember and remind me. So abide is my word of the year this year. And so that's another thing that you can do, because we want to find ways to remind ourselves about this. Other things that you can do if you're not a vision boarding person is go to the thesaurus, look up your words, see what other words surround it, make a word cloud, or bring other words into the sense. Not that they become your word, but that they help remind you of the complexity of your word and the different ways that you're going to see it show up throughout your time.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank all of you on Facebook as well as everyone on the Zoom. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, let's give a special thanks to Erin.
Erin. Thank you for having me. Thank you for hosting, Beth. Excellent.
So good. All of this content is so amazing. If you're watching on replay right now, make sure to take the time to pause and go through those questions. Really think through all of this stuff. This is going to be a game changer in your life, in your business, in your entrepreneurship. But that is all we have for today. This masterclass was amazing. Thank you guys again. And I hope you guys have a very blessed week. We'll be seeing you soon.
Join thousands of other
Christian entrepreneurs
just like you
who want to challenge, encourage, and support you
as you build your kingdom business.
Join the community today.